Okay, awesome. So welcome everybody to this next office hours. Like I shared in the email, this week there wasn't a release, so we just have a couple of things that wanted to go over that I thought were interesting this week. And then there's a question on the opening a file that we'll look at together. And then if anybody else has any questions, we're happy to take a look at them together. So the first one, I know I've already shared this a couple of times, but there still haven't been any entries in here. I mean, there has been one, but John is from the Tulip team. He leads product education. So he's not going to get a water bottle. He already has one. So if anybody, actually, has anybody here on the call already started using table queries?
Yeah. I also put a thing in the community about being to download CSV of results because you can't do that yet.
Yeah. I saw that actually. Kevin responded to you, right?
I haven't checked the response because of my email influx. It wasn't a bad thing. It was just I'll actually jump over there and take a look at it now. But it was the queries, I like it. I like the idea of being able to do filtered results or build the filters like you do with the dynamic interactive tables inside the apps, and being able to pull those queries from the connected records into the application itself.
Okay. It definitely is very powerful. And, I think there's also since we announced it, there's been a lot of requests to have basically mass update of table records. So basically from an app, updating records instead of one at a time via table record placeholder, updating multiple. And so that's in the pipeline, and in the coming releases it will be added. But I think that's an interesting update. So yeah, Chris or Delray, I see that you've used it already. If you want to share how you've used it in here, and again, it doesn't have to be like a completed app. Just you can share very simply a screenshot and a brief description of how you've been using it. You have a very high likelihood at this point of winning the water bottle with the custom.
I do not feel like it's fair for me to compete. That's why I just look at the competitions and I enjoy them because I'm a VAR.
No, but it's open to all members. I mean, we would give it also to John from Tulip, but he's already got one. So I want to give it to somebody who doesn't have one yet. Yeah. Okay. Awesome. So that was the first update. Then one thing that I think is quite important to cover that many people don't know about is running the Tulip player from a browser. So of course, if you go download tulip.co, you'll see that you can download the player for Windows, Macintosh, or Android. But for example, if you want to use an app from your iPhone, you can't do it currently with a player. But you can do it via a browser. So if you, I'm just going to open up a new incognito mode here. And if I go to my URL and I go to just, geo.tulip.co, and then I put /player at the end, I put enter, you'll see that basically I go through the whole workflow of registering this display device. So this is acting exactly like a player. So, it's good if, there are some computers that don't, like 32, there's some situations in which computers can't install the player. So I think
Chromebooks.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But you can run Chrome on a Chromebook or maybe Chromium. I don't know, but you can run browser, so you can access the player, which I think is just really good to know. Like if you can download the player, I recommend downloading the player. If you're running Windows, Macintosh, or Android, I recommend downloading the player. But if you don't, if you have a computer that doesn't have it, this is a great way of running the player without having to download the player.
I 150% agree with that because I've got a Google Pixel book, and that's that's what I use for my my weekends and my fun time with Tulip, I guess is what we'll call it. And that's what I'm using to run to do all the testing that I can't perform inside the test environment.
Okay. Yeah, right. Yeah, I mean, I think the test environment is good, but there's some situations in which it's better to actually test from an actual player. So yeah, it's good to hear that people are already using it. But for those who haven't used it in the past, it's just, go to your URL/player from any browser, and you can access it. Yeah, that's another situation actually. Thanks, Delroy. If you need to run 2 players simultaneously, that's a good way of doing it. I will mention that, if if I try going at it, opening this URL from a browser, I'll get the error message, but basically, oh, wow, this is a new thing because, okay, never mind. Just ignore what I was going to say, actually. Oh, okay, here it is, right. You can only be either logged in as the player or as the app builder. So yeah, you can, you need to choose one of the two, basically. So that's why I open it up in incognito. Okay, let me just log back into my instance. Okay, awesome. So then the last update that I want to share, and hey to all the folks that have joined now, I see there's a couple of people that have just come in. The last thing that I wanted to share that I thought was quite interesting, somebody from the community emailed about this, and basically this down here is their use case. So basically they were scanning a barcode, and the barcode was different lengths. So sometimes it was just between serial number was less than 10, so it was a single digit. Sometimes it was between 10 and 99, so two digits. Sometimes it was 3 digits, and sometimes it was 4. And depending on the length of what was scanned, they wanted to convert it to either containing 3 zeros, 2 zeros, 1 zero, or no zeros, pre-pending the serial number. So this is quite easy to do. So, here, for example, I don't have a barcode here, so I just did a user input, but it's exactly the same. So you see here, the complete serial number is always coming out to exactly 4 digits. So here, if I put in, for example, 4646, it removes the 2 zeros. Whereas if I just put a 1, it adds 3 zeros at the start. So this is really quite easy to implement, but I think it's interesting for where is it? Here it is. The main reason why I think that this is interesting is because, well, one, I want to show you how this write function works. And this is, I believe Excel actually has the same exact one, and Google Sheets, where basically you can pass in 2 arguments into this function. So first, a text variable, and then a comma, and after the comma, the number of, in integers, the number of characters that you want to include in the string. So here, I'm just taking the variable serial number, which in the first action here in this trigger, I'm adding 4 zeros to, and then adding the serial number. So here, if you can imagine, in this case, it's just, the whole thing is zeros with 4 zeros pre-pending, and then the 1. And then I only select the right 4 elements. And here I'm basically, I think the other interesting thing is here that, we're taking a variable and overriding it in the same action. So, we just take a variable, select only the 4 right digits, and then reassign it to the same variable. So serial number, text, reassign it in there. And I think it's, a nice simple way of manipulating data, in the, through the app builder. Does anybody have any questions about this, or have folks built things similar to this that they'd like to share?
I do this quite often, Gio, in our stuff here at Mac as well. A lot of times our customers have fixed serial number formats, and you're always feeding it with like an integer value or some sort of a counter. It's a very common practice.
Yep. Yeah, that's awesome. That's good to hear. And do you have kind of like, you use similar logic as like this, as like a write or something like this to select it?
I actually used, I think, the length command in conjunction with them too. so it can make it completely interactive through the logic.
Oh, yeah. That's awesome. Yeah. So for folks who don't know, the length command is actually a really good one. So basically, yeah, as you can see here, you can get the length of a string, and then depending on that, you can, you can like select certain elements, or you can use it as a variable, so once you store it, you have the length of the string and then use it elsewhere. Yeah, that's awesome. Thanks for sharing that, Scott.
Yep.
Okay. Very cool. Yeah, do folks have any other comments or questions about this functionality? Okay. So, and hello again to everybody who joined late. Hey, Jay. So, yeah. Yeah, you can do quite a lot, with like data manipulation if you're just, kind of a little bit creative about it and use it. And it's really similar to the way that Excel or Google Sheets work. You can really like basically, I mean, I'm not saying whatever you want, but almost you can manipulate data the way that you'd like. So I think it's an important thing to bear in mind when building apps. Okay, cool. So with that's it for the updates on our end. Now we can open up to any questions or things that folks wanted to share. Maybe we can start with Jordan, your question, if you don't mind.
Yeah, so actually, since we've started, I've gotten this working. I think it just wasn't working in the test environment, and I'm getting it to work in the Tulip player, but I'm still happy to share and show.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. Yeah, you can go ahead and share your screen. Yeah, so, and for folks who joined late, Jordan was asking about the open file action. This was an action that was added. Oh, I'm sorry, 1 second.
All right, can everyone see?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
So yeah, here I just have open file. This is a network file. And then Gio, I think you were saying it sometimes had to do with the colon, but so this one doesn't have one.
Yeah.
But then here I've got a desktop file, and this one does.
Okay, and is it opening this one?
Yeah, so.
Oh.
And then these three buttons, is there any way for it not to, this prompt to come up, the open file?
I don't believe so. Let me check actually while you're.
I don't think it's a big deal. I just thought I'd ask.
That's what's happened every time I've used the application.
Yeah. So yes, the desktop links are also opening as well. So I guess I answered my own question.
So can I ask another question to layer that for the open file?
Yeah, of course. Go for it, Chris.
Okay. Opening up a file from OneDrive or SharePoint, as long as the share permissions are open. Has anybody done that yet?
So I don't know about SharePoint, but if you can get a URL, you can use the open link instead of the open file.
Yeah. Well, no. I've begun experimenting with utilizing OneDrive and opening it directly from OneDrive. You just have to set the folder that you're going to be accessing. You have to go to securities and make sure that the share is enabled. And then here, I can actually show you.
That'd be awesome. Yeah, that'd be awesome.
Because this is my stuff, so I could actually show it for once instead of a customer's thing. Let me get into screen 2. Share. So we're just going to come into here just to be able to show you. There's a file explorer. Those are the regulars. These are the desktops. This is one OneDrive that's connected. This is another one that's connected underneath here. right click, go to properties, under security. It's already the permissions for, I already did the change, but it usually says change for, if you wanted to allow sharing, you go into edit, you allow read and execute, list folder contents, read and write.
Oh, awesome. Yeah.
And then I'm going to have to jump to my site real quick.
And I assume you can also change these settings from a web browser as well, right? If you can open up the OneDrive from a browser.
As long as you're enabled permissions to by whatever security your company has.
Yeah. Okay.
I've got full access. Oops. Sandbox. Visual multi-print. Nope, sorry. Wrong direction. Customs. Open file demo.
Nice. It's a very good name, descriptive name for the app.
These are just fast ones that we do.
Yeah.
I got to change my real quick. I thank everybody for patience. But in the meanwhile, I'm going to stop sharing until I get everything set up, so that way everybody else can keep talking and stuff. But yeah, it's some pretty neat stuff, and I'll show all the trigger arguments and everything else as soon as I get everything rolling.
Okay, awesome. Thanks, Chris. So yeah, I think if folks want to link external files, I think there's three main paths. One is opening the file either locally or in the network that Gordon was sharing, or you can open up the URL like Chris was mentioning here. So you have them here, open file or open link. And the third option that is actually not enabled by default, but if you'd like it enabled, just post in community, send a direct message to myself or Kaylee, or email support at tulip.co. And basically it's the ability to add an embedded web page. Now, I will provide a word of warning that here, a lot of websites basically block the ability for their web pages to be enabled as an iframe in another app. But it's not always the case. There are lots of situations in which you can, just embed any, for example, actually, I saw just last week, somebody who had embedded a 3D model from Fusion 360, the CAD modeling software. And they just included it in the web page widget. And, you can either do it via a variable or a fixed URL. But it's quite neat because, you can make it, basically it allows you to put a browser within your app. So, you can do quite a lot of stuff with it.
Hey, Gio, that was exactly what I was going to bring up. And I actually have something like that pulled up right now.
Oh yeah. Is it to open what?
Yeah, I have Fusion.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so I just have, this is an embedded web page.
Oh,
and
nice.
then I just uploaded, this STL, and this is the shared link.
Cool. And did you have to change the settings on the file from Fusion to make it accessible from?
No, I didn't have to change anything in my Fusion account because I was trying to use Autodesk Viewer too. That's another tool, but its links are not embeddable, but the Fusion one is.
Okay. Yeah.
So I'm hoping to start using this soon.
Yeah, this is awesome. Yeah, thanks for sharing this, Ryan. This is exactly actually what I was describing. What is it? Is this some kind of fixture, by the way, or something?
Yeah, we just have some 3D printers, so I'm building a little stand to just hold the plates.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah. So yeah, this what Jordan's describing, this works really well to whether if you need to have it in an app for reference or whatever it is, it's good to have if the user of the app needs to reference the model, it's always good to have it. You can put it in a separate step and
right.
Put put a button like 3D model, and then it takes them to a step with it, or you can just put it a little bit smaller in the corner. But it's yeah, you can do a lot with the web page.
Yeah. So I mean, for us to be able to use this now, we'll have to find out some way to upload these each file that we would need into Fusion. But did I just see, Gio, on your instance that you could embed a CAD?
Yeah. So you can you can just upload the STL file. That's also a actually, you know what? Maybe I can demo that real quick. It's not enabled by default as well, but if you'd like it, send support an email and we can work with you to get it enabled. Yep. So yeah, if you go to embed, like Jordan saw, there's just above the webpage, it's CAD. Don't think, let me see if I can quickly get a grab CAD, just any old STL. I don't think I have any on my computer. Let's see what the first one that shows up here. That doesn't look like it's huge. These all look pretty complex. Let's see, maybe this one's not too bad. This fan. Okay, well, yeah. I mean, actually, I can get a demo ready for next time, but then but it's really pretty easy to use. You can either upload it as a variable, or you can just upload the actual file itself. It'll open up the viewer, the desktop finder from your computer, and then upload it. And then it's you kind of, once you have the model in there, you can move it around, zoom in, zoom out. You can change the colors of the model. It does need to be STL. So yeah, that's one thing to bear in mind. But it is a pretty neat.
Is that using an integrated viewer, or is it something that's a URL from a website to view that?
So you can, I think you can do it from a URL from a website if it's just the STL file. I've never done it, to be honest, but based on just the fact that it says URL right here, my assumption is that you can link it directly to a URL where there's an STL file. The way
preference not to. I'd like to have it locally hosted, that they could pull a file and they could just view it in Tulip. I just didn't know if we had a viewer already embedded into Tulip that could take an STL file and read it.
Yes, this is Chris. Actually, can I share my screen?
Yeah, go for it.
So here we go. Okay, because we were going down this path, I decided to grab this one real quick first, just to show everybody.
Yeah, we can't see your screen.
Nope, I just got the sharing. So this is the STL file. My coloring and coloring blind is everything else along those lines. You can move, rotate. I've got the blueprint along with it. If I wanted to be able to zoom in on the print, there's a couple of other ways you can store this. You can store this as a JPEG, as an image, so you can click on it. It'll blow the whole screen up for the print if they want to be able to see the print. But yeah, you can rotate the model here. Pardon me for 1 second. That page is a bunch of hot garbage that we were doing for time testing. But if you want to be able to bring up another model, I didn't update the blueprint, but you can make it variable. This is under the community line. If you look up wizards and bunnies or Q wizards, this is what is going on with that. The way that I did this one was you can only upload right now currently. You can't do it in tables yet. Tables does not have a CAD model drop-down field to upload. So what you do is you take your file, you upload it here. It'll convert it to the S3 instance. Then you copy paste that into, which record do I have? Is this one? I think it's this one. Text image. Yeah, the low add file address. So under the current setup and production times, custom demos, let me go ahead and get this real quick. So to give you an example of what I'm talking about, we can go to, we'll go to downloads. I've got an STL up here somewhere.
I think maybe if you sort it by type.
Yep.
3D object, or no, is it?
Assembly, bottle opener, Tulip test widget. There we go. So, okay, so that's where we'll go for that. So inside of this, we turn around, we go to upload. There we go. We'll go just for a nice pegboard solid part. And then we'll open it.
I don't think it's gonna. Yeah, it's not gonna let you. It needs to be a.
Oh, an STL?
Yeah, it does need to be an STL. Or maybe a step as well, but STL just to be safe.
It's got to be one of these because I know I didn't.
Oh, so yeah, I would try step.
Belleville, just flathead socket screw. We'll try this one. Nope. Where the heck did I get it from? Regardless, it converts it to that address, and then we turn around and in the table, custom demos production job. You would copy paste the address once it's converted, and it copies, and then you can copy it into here. Then you can draw it back. If you look up the Wizards and Bunny community, it actually goes through step by step how to actually make that to where you can upload that address and then just tie it to the variable CAD model, and you can tie that to a job number. Is the long story short with that one.
Great. Now that it supports STL files, that's fantastic.
I fell in love with it, and yep, you do have to ask them to open up in the drop downs. If you don't see CAD, then get a hold of Geo or whoever you normally talk to and say, we want the CAD drop in the embedded drop down.
Yeah, I'll do that today. That's something we've been wanting to put in there for a while. I thought we had to do some sort of API connection to do like a CAD viewer or something like that.
Yep.
Yeah, actually, there is also, I know there's somebody using Tulip who has done that using Onshape, but depending, you know what 3D modeling software you use?
Yeah, everything ours is SolidWorks. I'd love if you had SolidWorks support. That would be seamless for us.
Okay, I don't think I've seen it. If I'm not mistaken, let me just open up the library here. Sorry, do you mind if I start sharing again, Chris?
Yep, nope, go ahead. We can jump back to the open file one to show the OneDrive access later.
Yeah, okay, perfect. So in here in the library, is it on? No. I can't remember one of the.
It'd be under the connectors.
Yeah. No, so I guess it's not live yet. I know we are working on a library app that will work with 3D models. I don't think it's SolidWorks, to be honest, because I don't think they make it available, but it's just something to bear in mind. So here, just so folks see as well how I have an STL file now. I just got a part from McMaster Car. So here, now if I go the STL file, I'll upload it. It's uploading. I'll just move this step all the way up here. It just takes a second and it's Yeah, there it is. It uploads it, and now we have the file in here. So now if I open up the Tulip player, you can see basically exactly like Chris was showing. You can move it around. You can use it for reference. You can change the color of the model. You can make it this strange color if you'd like, and it just changes the color, and you can zoom in and out in it to have available for reference. Cool. Just before we do go back into the open file, does anybody else have any questions that they'd like to address? Because I think it is important to show how the open file works, but I just do want to make sure we address everybody's questions.
I didn't have any more questions. Thank you, Gio.
Yeah, of course. Thank you, Jordan. Okay, yeah. In that case, Chris, do you want to share? Yeah, you want to show the open file?
Yeah.
Yeah. Awesome.
I gotta wait until you're done sharing. There we go.
Oh, yeah. And for folks who joined a little bit late, the only reason why I can't show them it's because this feature is only available for Windows, and I'm using a Macintosh right now. So that's one thing to bear in mind, that the open file will only work for Windows for the time being.
So inside of here, I've got a couple of different functions inside of here. I'm using variable colors from a couple of background arguments. That's why this screen doesn't look quite right, but it's primarily inside the app. It's, let me get this full screen. So for purposes of demo, 01, submit, and then the open file. If there is a file to open, it'll show this up. And that's just printing out the address just to showcase what's actually happening in the background. This does come up, but if you look at the actual file path, it's on the OneDrive. And that's why if you're connecting to your file path opens and you're getting this file doesn't exist, click on your file properties. You always want to check your file properties for when you're connecting to OneDrive and make sure that the sharing is enabled. So like on this one, that particular one wasn't shared, so I'm going to go to share. I can allow everyone and myself. I'm going to click share. That allows the link or copy. I don't need to do that. I just need to be able to then turn around, go to here, grab this address. Well, that's for the folder, but the actual file itself, you want to go and do the same thing. You want to click open properties and you get the file path from there. So let me get these closed. And then you allow, I've opened up Word documents, Excel files. That's a script from a what the heck is a citizen developer thing. But Word, PDFs, Excel files. I don't personally have SolidWorks. I'm waiting to see the Onshape connector come. But if you were running SolidWorks on the device that's running the player, it should open it up in SolidWorks on that device. If you've got a SolidWorks or a Solid Viewer, I haven't gotten to try that yet.
Yeah, I believe it will just open kind of like if you're from your file explorer, whatever the default app for that file is.
Yeah.
It will use the same software.
Yeah. And then, yeah. So, I mean, that was just one of the neat things that I had to go through and figure out because we've got multiple players accessing a file path and wanted to make sure since all of their computers are connected to the OneDrive network, how to get that file path to work inside of there.
Yeah.
Chris, could you show the trigger for that for a minute?
The open file trigger? Sure.
Yeah, please.
This is I never make things very simple.
But you can't see the screen just yet, Chris.
Oh, whoops, sorry. This is another thing that I've found along the way, and this is kind of coming into when you're able to mass update tables. I split the file path into two parts because anything that's being accessed in that folder, the front half of the address open file test variable. So let me get that table opened up for you as well. Current archive sandbox. So what I did with this was because, and this is where the tables comes in, when you're able to mass update, say you have like, say somebody moves your file path location. Well, this front half of the address is going to change. But the back half of the file address wouldn't. So in purposes of, if somebody moved a file, I would only have to go and update this column if they did that to us, which when you're able to actually mass update. But yeah, I just basically split the file path in half is why that trigger argument looks the way that it does. And it was just because we've also had, when incorporating into .gov sites, there's a couple of other little tips and tricks along the way that the address has to be very specific on the front end for permissions. But yeah, so does this trigger argument make sense?
Yeah, great. Thank you, Chris.
Yep, no problem.
Yeah, this was awesome, Chris. Thanks for sharing. I think it's, yeah, the open file can be pretty useful. I mean, it's, you know, of course, there are lots of things that you can do in Tulip, but it's always good to kind of, you know, if you have a local file or if you have a file open, wherever it is, it's good to know, you know, that you can open those external files.
And Gio, this is something that, you know, we've been kind of waiting for, not only opening them, but being able to actually read like a text file. So if that capability comes along, that would be awesome for what we do here at Mac.
Yeah. Is it by any are they stored locally? Or what kind of file management system do you use?
Yeah, these are all files that are stored locally here, and we have several Visual Basic applications now that utilize these files. They go out and they read the files and they pull them back and then they do something with them. It's something we've wanted to be able to do with Tulip for quite a while. Okay,
yeah. So Visual Basic, I haven't seen anything, to be honest, that does it directly. And I'm not sure if it's possible. I don't know exactly, but one thing I will share is that so lots of folks do this if they use either the Google you know, kind of suite to manage all their files. Then you can upload them, update them, and read information quite easily using the app from the library. Or also you can do it with Microsoft. So for example, for now, actually, we have the calendar, the Excel, and the Outlook unit tests available, but these are good ways to kind of just, you know, read and write information from, I mean, the file itself has to be on the cloud, but once it is on the cloud, you can read and write information. But for Visual Basic, I'm not sure actually if they have an API that's available to read and write. Yeah, would this use case be kind of like, is this information that you're collecting in Tulip that you need to write to another location?
So it's typically files that we're reading for label printing. So we'll go out, they may have parameter stuff in them or configuration stuff, and we'll pull them from files off our drive. And then that gives all the information that's needed for printing the label, like the location, the context of the label, etc.
Oh, okay. Okay, and then the label is printed via tool, like are you connected to a Zebra printer or something like that?
Yep, we can print any one of our locations in any department.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I can look into the Visual Basic and see if anyone's done. And maybe actually, if you would also like to post in community, and maybe I'd be also interested to see if any of our users have done it. I'm not sure. I haven't heard anything, to be honest, but it's always worth asking.
Okay.
Hey, Scott, this is Jay Bronick. I got a question.
Sure.
Does the file, is it populated? Does someone populate the file, or is it from a different system and then it goes to the file?
They're populated. So the engineering team makes them. They're basically just text files is all they are. Single line carriage return at the end. And basically the Visual Basic just opens the file and it reads top to bottom.
Sure.
And then takes that and puts it into variables and does whatever with it.
Yeah, I just think that, like, a lot of my experience is the file is not where it came from, somewhere else. That's where I just want to make sure that's where it's actually being populated.
Yep. In some cases, it could be like a serial number. So that houses a global serial number. So the application may go out, read the number, index it by 1, and then save the file back. But most cases, they're just straight up reads.
And is there a reason why first it has to be done into this simple text file? And like you can't use a Tulip app or something to store it somewhere that will make it available to access from Tulip app?
So the challenge for us right now is the backward compatibility. So all of the systems that we currently have, some of the things that I'm converting over, like for our label system, are coming out of Tulip today. They're more like the on-demand type printing that we're doing. But there's a lot of the older legacy stuff I still have to be able to run.
So, I'm sorry. I'll be quiet for a second.
No. Go ahead, Chris, please.
There's an API for that, which makes me sound like I'm a fast food commercial. You can do now. Are these Excel sheets? Are they in OneDrive or in the cloud?
No, for us, they're text files. They're not Excel sheets.
Oh, so those are text files that you're opening up?
Yes.
Those look like Excel sheets.
No. This is me sharing. This is.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I was about to go. Oh, but I know that you can connect to Excel. But if you can connect to Excel in the cloud, I don't understand why you couldn't be able to connect to a Word one. It just probably hasn't been done yet.
Yeah.
But the APIs, there's. I want to say that there's an API for it. Give me a second, and I will go looking in the background.
Hey, Scott, do you know, is it CSV file or is it some other delimiter?
They're just TXT files.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm also looking.
There's a JavaScript API. Document interface.
Yeah, it looks like there is. I mean, I know you said it's a TXT file, but if you could upload it to a Word file on Microsoft, then you could access it basically the same way that this demo here from Excel shows.
Okay.
I threw the beginning of the trail into the chat just now under Docs Microsoft.
Great, thanks. Now this is only if it's cloud-based, right? So you got to be using Microsoft 365.
Yeah, that's correct.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, the other alternative, which is a lot more cumbersome, it could be if you can't do that for some reason, you can just open the file, kind of like Chris was showing earlier, copy it and paste it into a Tulip app, and then, like separate it out, split the string or whatever you need to do to kind of get all the elements, which does add a step, but that's, if it's not in the cloud, if it's not available, that could be a good solution.
Sure.
How big of a backlog are you looking at, for retrograde information that you're still having to access?
Oh, probably 1,500.
1,500 years, files?
Files, I would say at this point. At least 1,500 files.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure that's there's a couple of different ways. There's also you could look into having a bot do an auto scrub of those files and then upload it into Tulip tables.
Right.
It all just depends on exactly how much automation and how much time you're allowed to actually put towards that process to bring everything from Tulip forward? Or are they still using the old process right now currently?
They're still using the old process. We're converting over and looking at what the validation implications will be.
That's always fun. Are you guys medical or?
We do industrial, commercial, and medical.
Okay. Medical, is it device or is it GXP?
Device.
Device, 1, 2, or 3, if you don't mind me asking. I'm getting nerdy.
Yes, all of them.
All of them. Okay. That's cool, man. That's. I feel bad for your quality assurance team, but that's awesome. Are you guys? Can I ask? Are you guys using the GXP Enterprise for Tulip yet?
No.
Oh, you should look at it, man. It's awesome.
Yep.
Especially for the validation. Your quality department will kiss the ground you walk on.
I will point them in that direction.
Yeah. Yeah. Actually, did you see, Scott, by any chance, the new record history widget that was added? I think that one could be quite interesting.
Yeah, we're actually using that in a couple places already for just kind of proving that out. So
oh, awesome. Okay. Yeah, and for folks on the call who aren't aware, the record history is quite, let me see if I can pull up a record right now. But basically, it allows you to view the entire history for a record since its inception. So basically, from when you create a record in a table, you can see who created it, from what device, or whether it was from the tables interface or whatever it is, and then all the changes that get made to it. So for example, here, let me see, I have this. Let me just add a button to load up, because you do need to have a table record loaded in. Let me see what's work order 056, table record, load, okay, by static value. Okay, so now if I open up the app, here you can see it's loading it up, and you can see the entire history since all the way it starts. So basically on October 22nd at 11:51, I created it, all the variables that it was assigned to, and then as they changed. So it went from being assigned to somebody to just being empty, then being assigned to somebody else. You can see on which step the step was deleted, but you can see all the information as it changes on the table record, which is a pretty neat feature. But yeah, so since I guess we only have about 8 minutes left, this is an awesome session, but and unfortunately I do have to stop right at the hour. But does anybody else have any other questions or things that would be good to cover while we're all here?
I had a quick question if there's time.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, so let me share my screen here.
Yep.
Oh. Guess I cannot share it right now. Oh, there we go.
Yeah, no, I think you should.
All right.
And so where are you joining from,
right.
David?
I'm from Iowa.
Okay, great. Welcome.
Thanks. So I'm pretty new to Tulip, so sorry if this is a dumb question here, but working through some things, and
awesome.
Essentially what I'm trying to do is use our current, we have an OPC server that we've connected to so we can see a bunch of machines. And I'm trying to make an OPC server bit, perform or have Tulip be able to see an OPC server bit. So I've got the OPC server bit set up. So I get it mapped, and off screen here, I'll change a value and I'll show that it's changing here. So if you watch this 0, it'll go to 1 here. Okay, so I just triggered that. So I can see that happening, and I got it assigned to what I call this hub cell. And then this would actually be a signal from a PLC that a leak test has passed. So I'm trying to understand how to see these OPC values in Tulip. Now I created a leak test pass machine trigger. And so created when a machine, I think I'm trying to get to that bit to see when it changes. So when specific machine hub cell outputs leak test passed, then I'm trying to just see that it happens. So I'll say a message here. Is that kind of how you view OPC triggers in here?
Yeah. So, I think actually, I mean, it's awesome right, that you got to here, because what you're showing, this is how you can use OPC outputs to trigger events. But if you just want to see it, I want to show you something. If you just close this real quick, what I do want to show that if you go here to embed,
okay.
Yep. So, and then machine attribute, for example, if you only want to display it, yeah, you see, so here it drops in this widget, which you can move around. And once it's in here, you can select the data source that you want to connect it to. So you can select probably a static value. Yeah. And then you can select the machine. Exactly. Then you can select the attribute exactly. And you see, so here now we're seeing, okay, 120 seconds ago, 2 minutes ago, it was set to true. So you can use this, you can configure it as you'd like over here, but this is a good way to just visualize it in its current state. If you want, you can also embed a timeline. So probably it's not so useful for just a true false, but if you go to machine timeline, sorry, here it is, you can kind of see over time how it changes. This is useful if you have like spindle speed, whatever, like if you want to see something that changes as a graph over time, or the state of something. This is the state of a machine. This is how you do it.
Okay.
So, but these are just to visualize. If you actually want to trigger events, the way to do it is the way that you were showing earlier from the step and then the machine. Yeah. So what I will mention is that here you need to be in this specific step for the outputs to show. Sometimes you can also put those machine outputs on the master layout. So that way, no matter which step they're at in the app, whatever the machine outputs, it will get displayed.
Okay. And then last question I had on it, I guess I could probably do that through logic here. So if you noticed I had a 0 or a 1,
yeah.
Do certain things, whether it's not on or on, you can do that in their condition here then?
Yeah, exactly. So here you can just select the last machine output. Yep, exactly. Exactly. And then here you can set your logic to basically, exactly. So here, yeah, it will only, sorry, that was a terrible circle. It will only show the message leak test pass if it's true.
Okay, great. That answered a lot of my questions. Thank you.
Yeah, of course. This is awesome. By the way, is this is the leak tester? How did you connect from the leak tester to an OPC UA server?
So we have a separate OPC server that we already run here. So we use the Cloud Connector host to connect to the OPC server. So now we can view our one that we already have set up and we can utilize it.
Okay. Yeah, this is awesome. Yeah, really cool. Yeah, thanks for sharing this. Once the app is up and running, it would be great if you could share it on community as well. And we have a show and tell category where people share cool things, which actually, and I unfortunately do have to end in just a minute, but I will share this, which was, I think, a really interesting use case if folks, just even to use as a learning experience. Let me share the link. But basically somebody used Node-RED running on an edge NC and connected it with Telnet to trigger certain events in Tulip. So it's a really good write-up. If you want to read about it, I just posted the link there.
Yeah, I'll definitely look at that. I just got my first node read, so that's my next trial too. So
Awesome. Awesome. All right. Well, yeah, great. Thanks for sharing that, David. Look forward to seeing how you continue to build this out.
yep.
Yeah. Yeah. So next week we can discuss how to connect to a SharePoint list. Yes. Let me take note of that. So I don't have a SharePoint. I'll see. Yeah, I'll try to create an account and see if I can get it connected. If so, I can definitely do that. But yeah, thanks everybody for joining
Thank you.
session. Yeah, we'll see everybody next week.
You
Thanks,
guys have
everyone.
a great week.
Thanks.
Power's growing, y'all.
Yeah.